for warm up, we're going to do a ball plank. So that's just planking on the ball. If you don't have a ball, you can plank on the floor. Whale tails are a glute activation exercise done on the ball. And again, if you don't have a ball, you can just move into some glute bridges. So lying on your back, knees bent, and then popping your hips up off the floor and repping that out. And then the rotations will be a bridge on the ball in which we're rotating across the shoulders onto the side shoulder, which you'll obviously get a feel for once I get started on that one. If you don't have a ball, I would suggest doing some plank twists. And then kettlebell swings, we'll do some hardstyle swings just to really ramp up the force output of the hips in preparation for our long cycle stuff. 10 seconds, starting with our ball plank. Think about keeping that body rigid. Okay, and keep your torso off the ball. We want to keep some space there. Think about actively reaching out through the bottoms of your feet, creating that nice line from head to toe. Okay, pull that in, and you're going to move into a prone position. You're going to extend at the hips so the legs come up, and you're going to abduct as well, so you're going to bring those feet apart, and then back down. So up and out, back down, up and out, back down. When you fan the feet out, you're thinking about actively contracting through your glutes to accomplish that. Everyone say hi to Rachel. Okay, so moving from that one into rotations. So now we're in a supine position, shoulders across the ball. We'll form a pistol with our hands, rotate onto the shoulder, and then opposite side, rotate onto the shoulder. We're turning the arms to one side, but we're also thinking about pulling that bottom shoulder underneath the body. Make sure you're keeping a nice wide base with your feet and knees to maintain balance. Okay, you're going to grab a kettlebell for your kettlebell swings. Hardstyle swings. Make sure you're pulling your arms into your hips to get that nice early connection. Set her down, we're back to our plank. Should I sleep? Okay, moving into our whale tails. Again, we're thinking about those glutes. We also want to try to be far enough back that we're getting as much of the load of the legs, the weight of the legs, incorporated into this movement as possible and not making it too easy. Okay, rotations. Or plank twists if you don't have a ball. And kettlebell swings. Match your breathing to your movements. Set it down one more time through, back to our plank. Whale tails. Keep your abdominals braced into the ball. Rotations. Kettlebell swings. That's good. Okay, first set of drills, we're working on our pause jerks. So the pause jerk, we're pausing at the landing. So we're in our rack, we bump up, and on that landing, we're gonna stick it. Okay, and what we're looking for is by the time you hear your heels land, your arms need to be fixated and as still as possible is what we're looking for. So we're really trying to nail that landing and not have any extra unnecessary movement or corrections that need to be done at that point of landing. Because everything following that is just follow through. We just stand up, and that's when we get the point. Okay, so if you're laddering up in weight, I don't know how many bells you guys have, but for example, for my Longcycle, I'm going to do 16s, 20s, 24s. But for this, I'm starting lighter, sort of. I'm going to do 16s, 18s, 20s. Just my shoulders take a little bit. They need a lighter touch. All right. So I got my 16s, 18s, and we got 20s. Yes.
Can you just remind us what to do if we're doing single arm?
Yes. Get with the program and be cool like the rest of us who do doubles. No, I'm just joking. So you're just going to do 30 seconds an arm is all you're going to do. And you're going to do that 3 times. Because I'm going to do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off for just 3 bells. That's it. We're going to really try and fly through these.
I could do single arm to demonstrate.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want. Rachel's going to do single arm so that you have a visual.
Okay.
And I'll do doubles. Cool kids in All right, 10 seconds. Get more built on. Hang him up. Stick that landing. Follow through. Back in. You're doing single arm, switch sides, otherwise you are resting.
SATs.
Ugh. Oh yeah. It's early. Bye, Georgia.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. All right, so we're moving into our cleans. Rachel's doing single arm, right?
Yeah.
So she's gonna use a towel to make sure that she's keeping her elbow in contact with her body, or at least the majority of her arm in contact with her body. What am I doing? 20s, 20s. Ugh. Ugh. All right, clean. Same format. 10 seconds.
The towel. It's sliding.
Do I look like an old-time strongman?
You're too skinny.
Jeez. They weren't that big back in the day.
Maybe a younger Merrick.
Oh, these ones feel weird.
The holes on those are different.
Yeah.
there goes the towel.
Up. Don't lose the towel. Fabulous. Okay. So now we're going into our main. And once we finish this, that'll be it. So we've got 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. If you're using single bell, do 1 minute per arm 4 times. So 1 minute, that's 1. 1 minute, 1 minute, that's 2. 1 minute, 1 minute, that's 3. 1 minute, that's 4. Donezo.
Okay.
No breaks, multi-switch. If you're doing doubles, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. But if you, that's with 3 bells in mind, or sorry, not 30 seconds off, my bad. It'd be easier if I just show this to you again. So, I'm doing 3 bells, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, and then rest for 30 seconds. If you're doing if you only have 1 set of bells, then you might want to go 1 minute on, 1 minute off, or you could even do 1.5 minutes on, 30 seconds off. You know, whatever sort of works for you with the equipment that you have, and depending on where you are in your physical training and your technical training.
So single arm, we're more or less multi-switching every minute.
Yes. If you're single arm, you will be multi-switching every minute, ideally. Cool.
Cool.
All right.
This is easier than the workout I had. Not easier, better.
Okay, starting in 10 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Do you want it?
I got these ones. I got these ones.
That's 30 seconds.
That's 30 seconds. And, oh, I'm going right to the next one. Boom.
Single arm switch. single arm switch.
That's fun.
One more time on each side.
Rachel! Fantastic. Okie dokie.
These pants are hot.
Alright, so that concludes our kettlebell stuff. And what we would suggest for you to do now, if you have a strength circuit or portion that you like to do or that you can do, then you should do that now. If you're going to wrap it up, I would suggest a little bit of rolling for the T-spine, especially if you're using the double bells and you're using some heavier bells and you get really forward stretched in that rack position. I personally like to do a few T-spine extensions and rotations before finishing up. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll run through that with you right now. So grab a roller And we'll start with some broad spectrum rolling, so just give yourself a nice big hug. And you're just going to roll forward and back across the length of that upper spine. So down to the top of the lumbar and back up to the bottom of the cervical, or cervical.
Yeah.
Now we're going to bring that roller down to the start of the T-spine, so really where the top of your low back arch is, give or take. I want you to cradle the head. I also want you to think about engaging your lower abdominals into, in order to tilt your pelvis into a posterior position. So in essence, that low back is flattening a little bit, and all we're really trying to do is lock that pelvis in position so that we can isolate the T-spine. Because the one thing that will tend to happen is that when you're extending over the roller and you're not really thinking about your overall global spinal position, people will tend to arch a lot through the lumbar, which is not really what we're after. We're trying to segmentally create some movement through the thoracic articulations rather than the lumbar. So I don't want you to arch through the lumbar as you're extending over. I want you to really try and visualize that lumbar staying static as you extend over. So that requires actually a little bit of abdominal tension as you're extending over, rather than really trying to pop your chest and lift your belly up to the sky. So anyways, head is cradled, extend over the roller until you can't extend any further. Don't force it though. And then once you're here, I want you to take a nice deep full breath, and I want you to elongate your exhale, and on that exhale I want you to feel like, and notice that you should be depressing deeper into that stretch on that exhale. And then you're going to flex forward and repeat. Deep breath. Long exhale. Let's do one more there. Flex forward and repeat. And that's good. You're going to inch your bum forward so that the roller positions up to a new segment. And we're going to do that same thing. So extend over the roller, being very aware of your lumbar spine. Deep breath. Long exhale. Flex forward and repeat. Deep breath. Exhale. Flex forward and repeat. One more. Deep breath. Exhale. And we're going to inch the butt forward again. Same thing. And we're basically just doing this all along the spine until we really can't practically do it anymore. So once we get up into that cervical spine.
Thank you, Sony. I'm leaving.
Alrighty.
Bye, Rachel.
Bye.
See ya. Now one more thing that we can do here is we'll come back up to about a midpoint on the T-spine. I want you to extend part way, and then we're going to engage in some rotations. And so all I do here is I keep my elbows pointed out with my hands overlapped, and I essentially just try to touch the floor with either elbow. Again, being very aware that I'm keeping my lumbar static. I'm just trying to incorporate some rotation in the T-spine here.
Oh, somebody has a tight neck.
Yeah. Yeah. This from go-karting, Rachel.
Yeah, mine's better.
Mine's getting there.
Now one other thing that's optional is you can do a little bit of lat smashing. So that's where we're positioning the armpit on the roller. Really we're on the bit of flesh that's just behind the armpit and maybe a little bit inferior to the armpit. You'll know it when you find it. And we're just doing some pressure waves, forward and back, forward and back. And this is all in an effort to do some maintenance on our overhead positioning, our overhead flexibility. All the T-spine stuff that we just did feeds into that whole system, and we're just basically adding on to that, stacking on top of that. Okay, we switch sides. Okay, and that essentially concludes today's session.